Welcome back, YouTube. This is Chad from the Lemon Factor. Today I have a 2019 Honda Accord 2.0 Touring to review with you. This is in a white platinum pearl color. The pearl is really beautiful. It adds a nice silver bluish fleck to it, and I'm going to try to get some pictures and some closer videos so that you can see that. One thing I want to point out though, there's some dealer installed accessories that do not come standard on any trim level for the Honda. First of all, there are these black OEM rims. You can buy these from your dealer. They are extra. They do not come standard on the 2.0 Touring. Secondly, here on the front, we do have a black chrome front trim piece on the front bumper. Typically, this would come in the standard silver chrome. This is another dealer installed accessory. There are plenty of dealer installed accessories that you can take a look at the list on the Honda OEM website. But I just want to make sure that you understand that those two options are not standard and you would have to pay extra. I think they do a beautiful job of adding some contrast to this white pearl and really making this car stand out, giving it a sporty look to it. I will point out some lemons. You know, for you they may not be a big deal, or they may be, but I'm trying to find those areas of deficiencies or weakness, or those areas that maybe the car doesn't perform so well, or that might be a big deal to certain viewers. There's a lot of reviews on the Honda Accord, and I'm sure you've already seen some of them, or will continue to look at some of the others. What I want to stand out for my video is to make sure that I highlight some areas that are not touched on by other reviewers. I'm not going to go through a complete list of all the features of this car. You can take a look at the Honda website. So before we continue, I just want to take the opportunity to ask you to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Your support is really important to me. All right, let's take a look at the 2019 Honda Accord 2.0 Touring, the inside. So this is standard across the trim levels. As you'll see, there is plenty of room. I have two children. I have sat them in the back here, as well as seating back here myself and a couple of adults. And they're both leg room, as you can see, shoulder, hip, headroom. Tons of room back here. You will not feel claustrophobic. Even though the roof does slope a little bit, I have not experienced any issues with the headroom, and I don't think many people will. You'll have to be, you know, on the tall side, maybe over 6'1", 6'2", to find that to be any sort of a problem. You have here the center armrest that does pull down. You have two good-sized cup holders. Here you do have the two rear vents, adding the heating and cooling. There is an optional OEM accessory. You could add I believe it's 2.5 amp dual USB ports in the back. This car does not have that. This being the 2.0 Touring is the top trim level. This does have heated seats for the back side passengers. Automatically turns off the heated seats once the car is turned off. And this is great if you have kids. So they have the benefit of heated seats, but you don't have to worry about anyone leaving them on, as it will automatically turn off once the car is turned off. So from a room perspective, plenty of room, headroom, shoulder room, leg room. I think it's fantastic. Now let's take a look at the front. We have some nice leather. These seats are a great blend of comfort and sportiness. So they add some nice side bolstering, but yet at the same time, they have a nice soft feel. So in comparison, I'd say the leather itself is not as soft as maybe a Lexus, but quite frankly, it's not as hard as a standard BMW leather. I think it's great for this class and the cost for this Honda Accord. I think these are fantastic, very supportive. I've gone on some longer trips, 5-6 hours, and I've had no issues. They do provide lumbar support for the driver, something that I routinely use and appreciate, and I had no problems whatsoever. One thing I really like about the Honda Accord's interior dash is the simplicity to it. It's not overly complicated. It does have all of your controls in a very sensible layout, very clean. Once you learn it, It's not one of those that you have to go back and continue to figure out where was that button. The buttons have a very nice touch to it, so when you move the dials, they do have that snap. Down here, you do have all of your heating and cooling controls. On the sides here, you have your heated seats in this trim level. Heated seats, you have your cooling seats, so that's great. The heated seats come on and work very quickly. The cooling seats, it's probably not the greatest. I quite frankly don't use them a lot. One thing that stood out right when I started driving this car, it's the summertime, is how quickly the air conditioning jumps on and cools this car down, which is great. It does a great job of cooling it down very quickly. So let's just move down here, and I'll show you that on this trim, being the 2.0 Touring, it comes with the push button selectors for the transmission. And I'm going to say that this might be the first lemon, only because I don't understand the benefit of having this. Maybe they were going after saving space, but still there's nothing you can do with this space when you have the push buttons. And it just takes a lot of getting used to. The PRND is sure in the same format as a stick, but I just don't understand the benefit, and it's something that, years and years of driving with the standard lever just takes someone a little bit to get used to. Moving on to the cup holders, these work well. Besides putting cups in here, definitely adds a nice storage spot if you wanted to put your phone. They're deep, they're wide, they're very useful. Moving down, you can see there's two additional buttons here, one for the Eco and one for the Sport, and this changes your transmission settings so that if you want to get better gas mileage or focus on the gas mileage, you can hit economy. If you want to get a better, more of a sporty feeling to driving the car, you can hit Sport. And I will tell you that it does work. It works well. In the Sport, the economy, quite frankly, I've not noticed any difference in fuel economy. I do notice that the car feels a little looser, but I have not noticed that I'm getting any better fuel economy. Typically, I'll put it on standard. I have put it in Sport, and you do get a little bit of higher RPM shifts, a little sportier nature in the steering feel. It does add a little bit of fun factor to it. So, for what it is, I think it performs well. You have your e-brake and your brake hold. The brake hold is interesting. I've used this when I've pulled up to a drive-through window, and as I was trying to get my money out of my front pocket while pushing the brake hold allows you to remove your foot from the brake, and the car will not inch forward as it would in a traditional automatic transmission. So you can put the brake hold on, and the car will not move until you apply some of the gas. So a neat added feature. The armrest, it's nice, adds a little bit of softness to it. It's not hard plastic, but it's certainly not, soft leather. I think for longevity, this is going to work out very well because it's not soft leather where you will get like a lot of wear on this, but it's not too hard where personally, it would become uncomfortable, with your arm. And there's plenty of space for two people, right? If you have a passenger here, you're going on a trip, it's not kind of fighting for that arm room. So let's take a look at the armrest. As you can see, it's very deep, it's wide, plenty of room for storage. We also have down here a USB outlet as well as a traditional 12 volt. Which is really nice, especially for rear seat occupants. It's not too far away. You can stretch that cord and give them access to some power. In addition to that, you have this tray that sits on the top to add additional versatility to storing some of your items. So moving on, an additional feature in the 2.0 Touring model is the wireless, down here. Let's see if we can get a nice shot. The wireless charging for your phone. What's also a neat feature is that you can turn it off. So you can use this for storage, but please make sure you turn it off. There is a button down there. You also do have the USB on the right and another 12-volt on the left. So you have this USB, the one in the armrest, this 12-volt in the other one in the armrest, so you get two of each. Taking a look at the infotainment screen, you can see that basically the format that Honda has for infotainment is tiles, kind of like how Microsoft does that. And each one of these tiles can be moved around in a customizable space just by pressing it and moving it with your finger. Most of this is pretty intuitive. I do like the fact that they've added the volume knob for the audio system, and you have your tuner on this side. You also have some redundant buttons as well as the push button, so it adds some additional flexibility, versatility to how you enter into your menu screens. Resolution on the info screen is pretty good. No complaints from that. The settings itself, the access to all the settings is pretty intuitive. There is a slight delay, but not too bad in the push button. You do have the ability for this trim level to add a hotspot. That is an additional cost, I do believe, or at least at this time, they offer a free trial, so many gigs. After that, you would have to pay a monthly subscription, but at least it's here to add a mobile hotspot directly to the car. So moving from the infotainment and the climate, we have the push button start, and then we have in the center instrument cluster here on the left, there's a TFT display in which you can customize. Right now it's on the tachometer, but you can customize your screen here. So if you want to see something different, you can use the roller, which I'm just pressing down here on the steering wheel. You hit the home menu and it brings this up on your screen, and you can use this rollerball to change what you actually want set. So right now you push in and it brings you up the tachometer. If you go back, you can go to your fuel range. Moving on, you can go to your speed and time. Then we have your audio. So if the audio was on, you'd have the ability to bring up all your information from your audio. You have phone, navigation, traffic sign, driving support, driver attention, your maintenance, safety and support, and your warning. So this entire screen on the left, the TFT, which blends very nicely with your speedometer on the right, is all customizable. I do like leaving it on the tachometer. Is all customizable. And again, like this entire interior, the whole dash instrument cluster, it's very simple in a nice, clean manner. Everything's intuitive. Everything is visually easy to see. The information comes across well. I like it a lot. I like simplicity to the instrument cluster. On this model, on this 2.0 Touring, a heads-up display on this trim. And this heads-up display, in addition to reading your miles per hour, your speedometer, it will show traffic sign recognition, compass, your navigation, a tachometer. So on the left of your speedo on the heads-up projection, you can customize that as well. And personally, I've become very fond of heads-up displays. I do use them a lot. I like the fact that I don't have to take my eyes off of the road to view my speed or other information like navigation instructions going forward. So this car also has automatic wipers. It has the auto headlights. And by the way, the headlights, even the low beam as well as the high beams, are full LED. So usually you don't find this on a lot of cars, much less cars that are not high end. So for this to have the full LED, and they look beautiful. I'll show you a picture here. These LEDs really look great, really stand out on this car. Moving on to the steering wheel, as I mentioned, you have your home button at the top here, your volume for either navigation or for your audio. You have your audio buttons here, your roller to change your menu settings, your go back button, and then you have your telephone buttons on the bottom, as well as your voice recognition. On the right hand side of the wheel, you do have your heads up, your cruise control, your lane departure, your adaptive cruise control distance setting as well. This is a really nice steering wheel. I think it looks great. And again, like everything, I'll keep reiterating, I like the simplicity, the cleanness to this. Lastly, moving on to the door, you have your typical settings for your side mirrors, your locks, your window lock, and then you do have auto up, down for both the driver and the passenger, and then you have your rear windows. You do have 2 memory settings for your seats and your mirrors, which is nice, and a lot of storage space down here. So a couple things I want to point out for the 2019 Honda Accord. This 2.0 Touring does have the 2.0 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. The standard engine is 1.5 liters, and it comes with a CVT or a manual transmission at no cost. That engine is rated at 192 horsepower and 192 foot-pounds of torque. When you upgrade to the 2.0 liter 4-cylinder, that jumps the output to 252 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque. And for all intents and purposes, this is the engine that you can find in the Honda Civic Type R, which comes at 306 horsepower. And that engine has been detuned for the Honda Accord. And in driving it, which we'll get to in a second, you can definitely tell this optional engine does have a nice amount of torque and drives very well. The 2019 is the second year for the 10th generation Accord, 10th generation starting in 2018. As for the Accord trim levels, it starts at LX, Sport, EX, EXL, and then Touring, which this vehicle is. And only on the Touring 2.0 do you get this 10-speed auto with the paddle shifters. Some of the things that come standard with the 2.0 Touring include the heads-up display, the wireless charging pad, the 10-speed automatic with the paddle shifters, as well as the ventilated seats, in addition to the heated seats, the ability to have a hot spot. Let's take a look at the trunk. This trunk is gigantic. There is a lot of room back here. I have taken this car on a trip with the family, and we had plenty of room. On all Honda Accords, regardless of trim level, Honda offers their Honda Sensing. And what's included in the Honda Sensing is the collision mitigation braking system, the road departure mitigation system, the adaptive cruise control, the lane keeping assist system, and the traffic sign recognition, which is phenomenal. For the price of a Honda Accord, regardless of trim level, having all of those safety features added in is a great value, a value that you won't find in a lot of other higher end cars. A lot of other manufacturers will charge extra for those. What's not included across the board, which is nice to have, is that blindside monitoring as well as the rear collision. Okay, now for the fun part. Upon startup, the exhaust tone is fine. The tone's fine. However, the engine sound itself, quite frankly, sounds like a lawnmower. I'm not impressed by that. I am impressed by some other things about the engine and its performance, but the engine itself, driving it around, driving it aggressively, does not have a sporty tone to it. One, you can hear it, so it's not as though it's muted. It is vocal, but yet it does not sound all that great. Not impressed by the engine note itself. The steering wheel is near perfect. I like the width. I like the 10 and 2 meatiness to the steering wheel itself. It feels very sporty. It falls naturally in the hands. Regarding the steering feel, the steering itself is like a lot of cars nowadays. There's some numbness at center. It does tighten up a bit as speed progresses. It's not horrible by any means. I think it's solid, a solid performer. Not overly impressed. It doesn't give a lot of communication as far as the tires and the road, but it performs well. While driving this, the car is fairly quiet. I have noticed that for the most part, the interior cabin noise is well controlled. There's not a ton of wind noise, but there is definitely noticeable tire noise. So that's not too impressive. I'm a little disappointed in that. The tire noise, I think, should be a little bit better than what it is. Definitely can hear it even at low speeds. Here comes that engine noise, which great torque to this engine, very impressive, but the sound of the engine is definitely lacking a bit. You have a lot of usable torque down low in the RPMs. The turbo itself spools up pretty quick. You do not have any substantial turbo lag. Very responsive. I like where the power is. The power and the torque is in the RPM band. You do not have to wind this engine out to have it usable, like some of the more normally aspirated engines. It is, if you are looking to pass at 20, 30 miles per hour, the automatic 10-speed transmission does a great job of kicking down. This turbo spools up quickly. You get going very nicely. It's got a lot of good pickup. So I'm impressed by the engine, not impressed by the engine note. And once again, you know, I'll comment because I'm going over some rougher surfaces here that the noise isolation from the tires could be better. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed in that. Speaking about going over the broken pavement itself, this trim level, the Touring, has adaptive suspension. And while I haven't driven one of the lower trim levels, this adaptive suspension works really well. I purposely am driving over some of these roads to get that feel as I can compare it to a lot of other cars I've driven. And it's doing a very nice job absorbing the bumps and absorbing them very quickly and evening yourself out so you don't have that jarring ride. Moving on to the brakes, great pedal feel, nice modulation, pretty impressive for a family sedan. I will say they feel like some of the, I wouldn't call sports cars, a more sporty type brakes because of the feel and the modulation to them. So impressed by that. And this has a nice linearity to the brake feel, which instills confidence in driving. You know, going around some corners, you wouldn't know that this car is 192 inches long, which is quite, to me, it's quite a long vehicle. It doesn't feel that large. It has very nice feeling around the corners. You feel very much in control. It doesn't have a lot of body lean at all, which I'm surprised by. Another lemon I will point out is the brake mitigation system, the braking assistance. What that is that safety feature where the car senses you're coming too close to either another vehicle in front of you or something else in front of you, and it warns you, usually in a visual or auditory or both manner. And this car, while it has it and it's great, I have noticed that in the center of the dash, when that kicks on, you have a big orange or amber light that flashes brake, that it kicks on much more frequently than what I think it should. So either I'm a horrible driver, I tailgate, or it just comes on too soon. And I'm gonna blame the car a little bit on this, but maybe not. Maybe this isn't a big lemon for you, but it does seem to kick on sooner than I would want it to. Along those lines, your adaptive cruise control, it works well. It gives you various ranges distances between you and the car in front of you, which is nice. Setting it is simple, nice and easy. However, I have noted on more than one occasion that if you're on the highway and you are cruising along and you go around a corner, as you turn that corner, if there's a car in the lane next to you, as you turn, the system sometimes picks that car up as a potential threat and slows you down even if that car is not in your lane. And the stereo in this car is an upgraded for the touring model, a 450 watt, I believe it's a 10 speaker premium audio system. It's not a branded system per se, but it is an upgrade to the bass trim levels. I was very disappointed in the sound quality. I do not feel as though it's a premium system. I'm surprised it's 450 watts. The low end, the bass was very much lacking. The high end, the highs itself were not there. However, over time, it did seem to improve. Either it seemed to improve and my ears just got used to the lower quality, or the speakers themselves were breaking themselves in, getting a little bit, looser, and did improve a little bit. The 10-speed push-button automatic transmission, I just don't get it. I mean, it works fine. You push a button. I don't understand the value in changing from the traditional lever, especially considering they have that on some of the lower trim packages. So yeah, it works, but you'll have to get used to it. For the most part, it works well. You don't notice that it's going through the gears. There's not an abruptness. It's very smooth, so no issues with that. However, on a couple occasions, I did notice early in the morning, so on cold startup, just starting the car, just starting to run it, going at a slow speed and up a hill, the transmission does hunt for a gear, and it kind of pauses, not knowing exactly what you're doing. And that at least 3-4 occasions in the same spot under the same scenario. Again, first thing in the morning, so you just get in the car, you just start it up, going slow, probably under 20 miles per hour, and having an uphill climb to it. The car, the transmission stuttered a bit, didn't know what gear it wanted to be in, and that seems consistent. But outside of that, I haven't noticed any issue. Having driven this now for a little while, the EPA rating for this car is 2232, 22 city, 32 highway. My personal experience has been, yes, 32 highway. I even was able to manage 33 on one trip, so I can attest to that. Purely city, what I would call city driving, I've gotten 20 miles per gallon. So not the 22 that it's rated at, but 20. But when you add on top of that this car only requires regular unleaded, that's a huge difference. Here in Massachusetts, the difference between regular and premium could be as much as 40 cents. Adding that and already a decent gas mileage, and the value there, the fuel efficiency is really good. The visibility out of this car is phenomenal. Even with that sloping roof in the back, you really do not have any blind spots. The mirrors, whether it's the center mirror or the side mirrors themselves, are sizable enough that you get a very nice view. So impressed by that. The side mirrors are also in the touring heated. You do feel some torque steer. Now, other reviews, whether it's in written magazines or on YouTube, make torque steer sound like it's something horrible. As long as your hands are on the wheel, it's not going to rip your wheel out of your hands. It's not all, for me, you feel it and you adjust your steering to accommodate that. I rather enjoy it because it's given a little bit of a sporty nature to the car. It's telling me that, hey, there's a lot of power, a lot of torque that this engine can put down, and maybe it's not putting it all down, but it's there, which is fun. Would the car benefit from an LSD, a limited slip differential? Absolutely. I think that would be great to add this to this car. but you will notice the torque steer. It is there. You can induce it quite often, so it's not just once in a while. You have the torque steer, and the tires themselves that come on this car, when it's cold, when they're not warmed up, even more. So be careful. I do think with the amount of torque, the type of tires that come with the car, that it could be dangerous in colder days without the tires being warmed up, going around corners, giving it a little too much gas. So something to look out for. According to Car and Driver, I believe the 0 to 60 time for the Honda Accord 2.0 Touring is 5.5 seconds. I believe their quarter mile is about 14 seconds at maybe 100 miles per hour, which is very decent. 10 years ago it would have been fast or quick acceleration, and it does feel quick. And I guess it feels even quicker when you're considering that you're driving a family sedan. Now, if you're comparing this to a Toyota Camry, by the way, I am looking to do a review of the Toyota Camry in the near future, so be on the lookout. If you're comparing this to a Toyota Camry, the V6, now, yep, you have that 4-cylinder turbo versus a V6. According to the magazines, this Honda Accord is faster than the Camry. This Honda Accord is faster than the previous generation Honda Accord V6. So it's not all about the displacement. It's really where the power, where the torque is in the power band, combination of the transmission, weight of the car, etc. But this car definitely feels quick. And I think if you're one of those individuals that may be reluctant, to get into a family sedan, or someone who would like to add some sportiness to it, give this car a try. This is a fantastic car. Feel that pull. It is responsive. It picks up. It is nice. It is more than, in my mind, what a family sedan has to offer, which is great, because if you need the room, you need 4 doors, you need the backseat room, the trunk capacity, you're looking for something that you can put the family in, why not add a little bit of sportiness to it? And this 252 horsepower, 273 foot-pounds of torque, turbo really spools up quick and gives you that responsiveness that I enjoy. I think that is great. I'm impressed by it. I think it is a step more than just a family sedan. It is going above and beyond. The abundance of features, many of which I haven't even gotten into. I do recommend you go out to the Honda website, take a look at the standard features, take a look at the options per trim level. Honda offers a lot for these Accords. I think this is a phenomenal car with just a handful of what I call smaller lemons, which for some of you may not be a big deal, and for others, just test drive the car. I'm a big proponent on test driving it. Test drive it more than once. Get the dealer out of the car. Do not have him or her in the car with you, because they just chat it up and distract you. Think about each aspect of what you're going after, either the acceleration, the handling, the quietness, the stereo. You can't do that when you have a dealer sitting in your car talking the car up. If you find value in these videos, please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell for future notifications. Like and share, and leave a comment. Let me know what other cars you'd like me to review in the future, or what aspects of the reviews you enjoy the most, and I'll be sure to read those. And definitely